Beneath the burning sands of the Iranian desert, miles below where any human can breathe, lies a dark, ancient ocean. It is the remains of prehistoric life, cooked by the earth for millions of years into the black liquid we call crude oil. For the people of this region, this is not just a commodity. It is their history, their economy, and their burden. Every drop that is pulled from this ground represents the sweat of a worker and the complex politics of the world above. To understand how this thick sludge powers a car in the West or a factory in the East, we must look at the hands that touch it. This is the story of a journey that begins in the dust and ends in the engine of the global economy. Chapter 1: The hunters seismic and survey before the massive rigs appear. The desert belongs to the hunters, the geologists who listen to the whispers of the earth. They drive heavy trucks equipped with thumper pads, massive plates that slam against the ground to send shockwaves deep underground. It is a lonely life for these men, spending weeks away from their families, sleeping in tents under the vast, starry sky. They interpret the echoes of these shockwaves on computer screens, looking for the telltale dome shapes of rock that trap the oil. Finding oil is like finding a needle in a haystack, but the haystack is made of solid stone 3 miles thick. When they find a promising spot, they mark the sand with a simple wooden stake, a small sign for a massive future. This stake marks the spot where billions of dollars will eventually flow, changing the landscape forever. But for now, it is just a piece of wood in the sand, waiting for the heavy iron to arrive. Chapter 2: The Iron Giants Drilling and Extraction. The silence of the desert is shattered by the arrival of the drilling rig, a caravan of heavy trucks carrying hundreds of tons of steel. It takes weeks to assemble the tower, a process that looks like building a skyscraper in the middle of nowhere. The men who work here are called roughnecks, and their name is earned through bruises, grease, and exhausting labor. They work 12-hour shifts in temperatures that can melt the rubber soles of their boots, covered in mud and oil. The heart of the operation is the drill bit, a diamond-tipped claw that rotates at incredible speeds to chew through the rock. As the drill goes deeper, the crew adds 30-foot sections of steel pipe, a dangerous dance of heavy metal swinging above their heads. Down in the doghouse, the control room, the driller watches the gauges with the focus of a surgeon. He can feel the vibration of the bit through his feet, knowing exactly when he hits hard rock or soft shale. Suddenly, the vibration changes, and the pressure gauges spike. They have hit the pay zone. The oil, trapped under immense pressure for eons, rushes up the pipe, desperate to escape its stone prison. On the surface, the Christmas tree valve is locked into place, capping the well and taming the beast. The black liquid flows into the pipes, warm and smelling of sulfur, the first breath of the underground giant. Chapter 3: The Veins of the Nation. Processing and transport. Raw crude oil is not ready for the world. It is mixed with salt water, sand, and dangerous natural gas. It travels through small flow lines to the gathering center, a massive outdoor factory of tanks and separators. Here, gravity does the work. The heavy water sinks to the bottom, and the light gas floats to the top. The gas is often flared off, creating the iconic orange flames that light up the desert night like artificial suns. Workers in fire-retardant suits patrol these facilities, listening for the hiss of a leak that could spell disaster. A single spark here could turn the entire facility into a crater, so safety is a religion for these men. Once the oil is sweet clean of gas and water, it is pushed into the main export pipeline. This is the vein of the nation, a 48-inch steel artery that carries the lifeblood of the economy across the mountains. The oil travels for hundreds of miles, crossing the rugged Zagros Mountains where the air is thin and cold. Pump stations, powered by massive jet engines, keep the liquid moving, pushing it up steep inclines and down into valleys. Chapter 4: The Alchemists. The Refining Process. Some of the oil is diverted to local refineries, massive cities of steel where the crude is cooked and cracked. From a distance, the refinery looks like a futuristic fortress, breathing steam and smoke into the sky. Inside, the process is pure alchemy, turning thick, useless sludge into the petrol that powers cars and the jet fuel that flies planes. The crude enters the distillation tower, a vertical furnace where it is boiled at different temperatures. As the oil turns to vapor, it rises and condenses on different trays, separating into heavy tar at the bottom and light gasoline at the top. It is a delicate chemical balance, monitored by engineers in a control room that looks like NASA mission control. Outside, maintenance crews climb the towers, suspended hundreds of feet in the air to weld pipes and check valves. They breathe air that tastes of hydrocarbons, working in a hazardous environment to keep the fuel flowing. This refined fuel is loaded into tanker trucks, driven by weary drivers who transport it to gas stations across the country. But the crude oil destined for the world has a different, more dangerous journey ahead. Chapter 5. The Gateway to the World. The export terminal. The export pipeline ends at Karg Island, a small speck of land in the Persian Gulf that acts as the lung of the oil industry. Here, the pipeline meets the sea, extending out onto massive concrete jetties that reach into deep water. Waiting at the dock are the VLCCs, very large crude carrier ships, so massive they make aircraft carriers look small. These floating giants are operated by international crews, sailors who spend months at sea away from their families. The captain stands on the bridge, watching as the massive loading arms connect to his ship like robotic umbilical cords. When the valves open, millions of barrels of oil rush into the ship's hull, lowering the massive vessel deep into the water. This is the point of no return. The oil has left the land and is now cargo on the high seas. It is a transfer of wealth, physically moving billions of dollars from the desert to the ocean in a matter of hours. But leaving the dock is the easy part. The real challenge lies just ahead in the narrow waters. The ship casts off its lines, its massive propeller churning the water as it heads toward the most dangerous choke point on Earth. Chapter 6. The Watchman, the Strait of Hormuz, and the USA. The supertanker must pass through the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow channel only 21 miles wide. This is where the journey of the oil intersects with the military power of the United States of America. Patrolling these waters are the gray steel hulls of the U.S. Navy, specifically the Fifth Fleet, stationed in Bahrain. For the American sailors on these destroyers, their mission is to keep this waterway open and ensure the oil flows freely to the global market. The captain of the tanker watches his radar nervously, seeing the blips of Iranian speedboats on one side and American warships on the other. It is a high-stakes stare-down, where the oil tanker is a slow, heavy guest in a house of swords. The U.S. Navy uses advanced radar and drones to scan every vessel, ensuring that commerce is not interrupted by politics. They are the guardians of the global economy, ensuring that the gas prices in New York or Tokyo do not spike due to a blockade. Occasionally, a U.S. helicopter will buzz overhead, the sound of its rotors vibrating through the deck of the tanker. It is a reminder that while this oil comes from Iran, its safe passage is guaranteed by the firepower of the West. Chapter 7. The Ghost Transfer, Evading Sanctions. Because of strict sanctions, the oil often cannot go directly to Western ports with an Iranian flag. This leads to the ghost transfer, a secret operation that happens under the cover of darkness in the open ocean. The tanker turns off its transponder, disappearing from the digital map of the world to become a shadow. It meets another ship in international waters, and in the dead of night, they connect hoses between the two hulls. The oil is pumped from the Iranian ship to a neutral ship, washing away its origin story. It is a risky maneuver, performed by captains who are paid high premiums to navigate the gray zones of international law. Once the transfer is complete, the neutral ship turns its tracker back on, now carrying global oil ready for market. This oil might end up in a refinery in Asia, but the refined product could eventually find its way to a gas station in Europe or the Americas. Chapter 8. The global engine arrival and impact. Finally, after weeks at sea, the tanker arrives at its destination, a massive industrial port thousands of miles from the desert. The oil is unloaded into storage tanks, marking the end of its physical journey and the start of its economic one. Traders on Wall Street and in London watch the arrival of these ships, their computers calculating the price of energy for the world. A shortage in the Strait of Hormuz means a price hike in Texas. The world is connected by this black liquid. The crude is refined into plastic for toys, asphalt for roads, and gasoline for the family car. The drop of oil that was pulled from the Iranian sand by a sweating roughneck now powers a minivan taking kids to school in a suburb. It is a silent, invisible connection between the people of the East and the people of the West. We do not see the desert when we fill our tanks, but the history and the heat are there in every gallon. The endless cycle back in the desert. The sun sets, turning the sky a deep, bruised purple over the oil fields. The roughneck finishes his shift, wiping the grease from his hands, tired, but ready to do it all again tomorrow. The nodding donkey pump continues its rhythmic motion, squeak thump, ignoring the politics of the world. As long as the world is hungry for energy, this machine will keep moving, and the journey will continue. From the dust of the desert to the dollar in the bank, The cycle of the black gold never stops. It is the bloodstream of our civilization, flowing through veins of steel, guarded by warships, and powered by human sweat.